On my banger, we live. I got 10 Maybachs outside. On my banger, we live. I got 10 Maybachs outside. On my banger, we live. I got 10 Maybachs outside. How y'all doing? I'm your host, Blue Strip Wit, Dr. Phil of the Street, Steve Harvey of the Hood. And this is another segment on 99 Vision. This is a Wellness Wednesday segment. And today we are discussing relationships with a specialist, a therapist slash life coach who really doesn't need an introduction, but I'll give her one anyway, Britany Lynn. She accompanied us on the first season as well. One of my great friends, very knowledgeable, very personable, and really just somebody that's going, keep your spirits high. Somebody that's going, speak for the ladies, because we always got so much male outlook. So I just wanted to have outlook for the ladies as well. Thank y'all for tuning in. If y'all just now tuning in, it should be a real good episode today. It should be a real good episode today. I've been on Britany Lynn for over 10, 15 plus years. And she does have a lot of good insight about relationships, life coach, stuff like that. Just things that people should be aware about when they're in relationships, how to treat people, even if you're dating someone or in a platonic relationship, how one should act, how one should not act. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, I'm waiting on my co-host for today, which is Britany Lynn. As soon as she pop up, we'll get this thing started, man. I really do appreciate y'all again. Let me see. Where's she at? What's good, Baby C? Real Baby C in the building right now. Really do appreciate y'all. We should have a good episode for y'all. Here we go. Britt.
What's going on? Can you hear me okay?
Coach B. Life Coach B, how you doing today? Thank you for blessing our platform today. I really do appreciate you. I was just letting them know we was going to be talking about relationships and things of that matter, whether it be a relationship with someone romantically or platonic. And right. I'll just let you take the show. Look, I'm saying, explain to people who you are and everything.
First of all, I'm offended because I heard you say we've known each other 10 to 15 years. We've known each other longer than that. We've known each other over half our lives.
20?
Close to 20.
What that, 25?
Don't say that because I feel away. We've known each other since what, we were 11?
I won't try to tell people's ages. That's what I'm saying. I won't try to tell nobody's age. You feel me?
I'm 31. I'm happy. I look good at 31. I look like I did when I was in high school. So I actually look better. Oh well, I'm aging well.
For sure. Most definitely. You still look like a teenager.
Yeah. My body, unfortunately, I didn't get that womanly figure to grow in, but we're good. So thanks for having me, DeWitt. Just a little bit about me. As you know, I've known DeWitt for a long time. Very good friend of mine, one of my best friends in the whole entire world. So I am originally from the Raleigh area. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina now. I am a Reiki practitioner and a spiritual life coach. I also own the healing platform called The Full Embrace. We do grief support, we do self-love, working on your relationship with yourself. We do law of attraction, manifestation, finding your purpose, a little bit of everything there. And we also...
all very important things.
Absolutely. I do a lot of teaching. I do a lot of speaking about self-love, boundaries, attachments, grief, spirituality. It's a very big thing that's near and dear for me. And I really want to talk about tonight how all roads really do lead to self. And you have to really work on yourself first. We're going to definitely hit mostly on attachments and boundaries, what they are, why we need them.
Okay.
and we're going to take a different look at how we are supposed to be in relationships. Okay. Do you have any
Okay.
questions
So
for
let's start
me?
from the top.
All right.
Well, as far as attachments and boundaries, what do you mean? Like with people, like what do you mean? Like just go a little bit deeper into the attachments and boundaries from me.
Sure. So let's start with boundaries first. So boundaries is just setting limits. I think it gets a really negative connotation a lot of times because of our programming. Boundaries, we think boundaries equals bad, and it really doesn't. Everything is what you make it. Everything's all about perspective.
Right.
But boundaries are important to have, they're limits to have. Whenever you're working on any type of relationship, whether it be with yourself, whether it be with a person, it could be a coworker, it could be anyone, it could be your dog, you should always have boundaries. Basically, hey, look, this is my
Right.
line where it gets a little uncomfortable for me. This is the line where I know if I go out and I stay out too long, I might have an extra drink. You know what I mean? My boundary is two
Right.
drinks and I'm out. So don't try to get me to stay, or I need to leave when I reach my two. Um, if you cheat on me, my boundary is
Exactly.
I'm going to leave you, right? So I want to talk about
Right.
um,
Right.
right. But the thing about it is boundaries are worthless if you don't honor
What
them.
about forgiveness though? What about forgiveness? There's no room for forgiveness in these boundaries. There's no room for taking nobody back. There's no room for, you know,
I think it's a difference.
forgiveness.
Boundaries is you have to honor your boundaries, because if you don't have boundaries, people they're not going to really take the forgiveness piece, because it becomes a time where forgiveness isn't forgiveness. It's just more of a bad habit. It's a act of self-hate. You really have a problem if you continue to forgive
Hmm.
someone without having boundaries, proper boundaries, or minding your attachments and really forming healthy attachments with people.
Okay.
Then it's not forgiveness, right? I feel like we really need to break down what forgiveness is. You know what I mean? Like, it's
All
one
right.
thing to forgive and it's another thing to people please, right? If I want you to be happy, if I do it, if me and you, we're in a friendship and you keep hurting my feelings, right? And I really want to be your
Hmm.
friend, but I just keep on you hurt,
Right.
uncomfortable. I'm hurting every time. That means I'm putting myself last. That means I'm telling myself I'm sending signals to myself that DeWitt is more important than me. So I should
Right.
forgive him because I'm not worth being treated with respect. Does that make sense?
Understandable. Understandable. So, okay, I can understand the habitual or the repetitiveness of keep hurting somebody, but I'm just talking about for the people that mess up one or two times. People can change, people can grow. So I just want to speak for them type of people, because if that was the case, then Jay-Z and Beyonce would no longer be together, things of that nature. Well, it's just I just want to point out the fact that you can mend a relationship once trust is broken and things of that nature. I just want to point that out. That it just can't be
Absolutely.
gone, because a lot of girls be like, if he cheat on me one
Absolutely.
time, da, da, da. But the baddest women have been cheated on. That's what I want to point out. Like the
Honey,
coldest of the cold
honey,
women. So when I think about people that have been
honey,
cheated on, like
honey.
Beyonce, Holly Berry, it can happen to anybody.
It
So
can.
I just want to point that
Um,
out. Like it ain't really. It's just a man being weak.
I want to say there's levels to this shit. There's levels. There's definitely levels to it. I feel like you have to have a really strong foundation with yourself, and your boundary can be you may accept cheating, you may not. I don't know what your boundary is. Your boundary is personal to you. Cheating may not be a deal breaker for you. That's not really my business. That's your business. You know what I mean? If you feel like, there are women out here who feel like all men cheat and that's just something that they have to deal with. If that's what your
For
belief
sure.
is, then you know what I mean? That's where you at. Um, but you
How you
have to
feel
have
about the women?
boundaries.
How you feel about the women that just go and cheat back? I said, how you feel about
I
the
feel like
women that say just cheat back?
hurt people, to be honest with you. Like I've been there and hurt people. And I feel like what it is your ego acting out. Your ego is processing hurt. Your ego feel away. His little sword and got bumped on side his head, so it's like I need to go back and retaliate. But you're missing a key thing here. Whenever you feel hurt, whenever someone hurts you,
Hmm.
whenever something happens to you, you have to process it, number one. And number two, you have to heal from it. So if you get cheated on and you go back to the person, you're skipping these two steps. So that's why the shit gonna keep happening. That's why your self esteem goes down. That's why your sense of self worth goes down. So do I think it's okay if that's what, like I said, I've gone back to people who cheated on me before, but I did it the wrong way. So I can sit here now and say lesson learned. You have to heal from it so that you're not attached to that cheat, so that you can recalibrate
My guy,
and get back
my
focused.
I ain't mean to
What's up?
cut you off, but my guys, my cousin said, as long as she can cry in Dubai and not on Parsons Ave, 90% of women will accept it. So basically, meaning if she gonna get flued out and all that good stuff, if a guy got a bag, then cheating is more acceptable. I think that's what somebody just saying in the comment.
I think honestly, and there's a really bigger reason for all of that. Most of us, especially women of color, we're not programmed, we're not raised to really love ourselves, and we're not really taught self love as children. We're not. Someone doesn't sit us down and says, "Hey, you have a self. This is how you take care of yourself. This is how you love yourself. You have to talk to yourself nice, just like you talk to other people." We're taught the golden rule, how to treat others, but we're not taught how to treat ourselves. So women of color, especially, I can only speak for women of color, but women of color, we
Hmm.
have grown and learned to associate love with with materialistic things, with being flued out with these things. So that's where we get a
Right.
little lost. It's not really love. And if you out here if you feel like you can, and I feel like we gotta address it on the other side. If you feel like you can go cheat and then just buy your girl a bag, then your girl is shallow, and so are you. There's an issue there. There's some things. There's some sense of self worth that
For
needs to
sure.
go on, right? If that's it, if that's what you're really caring about. And then I remember, and I also want to touch on this. What I've recently learned, not that recent, but in recent years I've learned, because I've dated all types of bad guys. When I was younger, you've seen it. I was really attracted to bad guys. They say
You
good
so
girls
funny.
like bad guys. But what I realized was it's not because they bad. It's because I thought I was supposed to be hurt all the time. I secretly liked being treated like shit. I liked being ignored because I thought that was, I needed to earn love. I thought that's what it was. I thought that's what love was. I need to prove myself. I associated being treated like crap and this whole sense of I gotta prove, I gotta go through the mud and prove that I'm gonna be there. That's not love. That's trauma. That's trauma and trauma trying to trauma bond to each other, and it's toxic and it's not healthy for either side. So I wanna debunk that
Very
myth.
toxic.
So if you feel like, oh, I'm a good girl, I like bad guys, he's so real, he's so real. He's very real. He's very real in the dirt that he's gonna drag you in, sweetheart. That's not. That's a It's a perspective that we really need to change. You know what I mean?
For
So
sure.
I want to say also,
Most
people
definitely. Most
trash.
definitely. So that's boundaries.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of women are
Say it
stuck in
again.
that toxicity too. Absolutely. Like someone said that a lot of women are stuck in toxicity. That's absolutely true.
For sure.
A lot of people on both sides, on both sides. Um, I'm not here to man or woman bash. I'm here to person bash. Really, to be honest with you, I'm not bashing
Yeah,
anybody.
exactly. This is
But
not directed
I'm not
at
gonna
women. It's not
speak.
directed at men.
Yeah, because it's not a man versus woman
Yeah,
thing.
we not playing the blame game. We're
Right.
not
It's
playing the
really not
blame game.
even
What we want to
that.
do
It's
is we
really,
trying
yeah,
to.
absolutely. Because if you have two whole cells that come together, you good. If you have two whole cells
For
together,
sure.
if you work on yourself, you have a good balance of masculine and feminine energy on one part, and on the other side, it's a good balance. And you are practicing your goal, your boundaries and your attachments properly. Because life is a practice. A relationship is nothing but a practice. It's a practice field. That's all it is. That's all it is. and you can apply this to yourself,
Right.
you can apply this with anything. What it is, I'm gonna break it down to you real quick, real simple. Are you minding your attachments? Meaning this, right? I know I have myself. I know I have my back. I'm confident with who I am. So my happiness isn't going to attach to someone. So do it. If you do something, I'm at a point in my life where you can't do something that's going to make me unhappy. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? If you cuss me out and
And that's how
say
it's supposed
crazy
to
things right
be.
now, I'm not gonna feel away. I'm gonna be like, he's going through something. That's his journey, and I'm gonna leave it at
Because
that.
that's because you're at peace with yourself and you know who you are. When you're at
Right.
peace with yourself and you know who you are, then other people's words can't affect
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
you.
And I don't attach to external factors. I'm only attached to myself. You know what I mean? So attachments, I want to break attachments down really quick
Yeah.
so before we address them. There's a really good quote
You're
by
not
Buddha.
dependent on anything to make you happy. You're not attached to anything to make you don't attach your happiness to anything. You're happy because you're
Absolutely.
happy, not because there's something making you happy. It's a choice. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So attachments is a really good
Happiness is a
quote by Buddha
choice.
that I love. Happiness is a choice. It's called it says um attachment is the root to all suffering. I want to say it again so people know that. Attachments are the root to all suffering. And how attachment, desire is a form of attachment, expectations are a form of attachment, and then attachment styles. So you need to know what type of attachment styles you have. There's a quiz, look it up. Attachment styles is very important. If you don't like it, once you read it, if you don't like it, then you should really sit down with yourself and have a conversation. Um,
Hmm.
I think I started a watch party, so it's kind of weird. Hold on.
You said talk about your upbringing, not you in general. However, is it based off how you were raised? Were you raised off love or survival? Were you raised off survival or love? So basically, that makes a big
Right.
difference on how you love people on the way you were raised. Basically, that's what I took from that comment. Some people love differently because they was
Absolutely.
raised to love properly.
Absolutely. That's so important. So I'm like in this watch party and it's kind of like split. Let me come out and come back in. Hold on one sec. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Oh, wait. No, I don't have to do that. Hold on. Bam, I'm back. Okay.
All right. Cool.
So, absolutely. So, I want to talk about attachments, right? So, desires is this. Let's talk about, I'm going to break it down into three parts. Okay.
Okay.
Desires is one thing. It's very important. You need desire. You need desire because desire is like, it's like the gas in your car. You need it. It makes sure your goals, your ambitions, the things you're trying to manifest go, right? You definitely
You
need
gotta
that.
want it.
You gotta want it. So that's why it's very important. But the thing about desires is when it comes to you desiring stuff, it should only be an internal thing. Does that make sense? So I have a goal here that I want to accomplish. I'm going to accomplish that goal myself. But where we get messed up in relationships is we ask God for a partner. Then we have all these desires for what this partner should look like, right? So then when we meet people, we place all these
Right.
desires on people. So then we start dating them for, okay, they not that they got. So we spend all this time trying to mold these people into who we want them to be because of potential, because of our desires. We miss out on what this person is in your life to teach you. Because this person could be really growing you so you can meet that level so you can get the person you really desire,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you can meet this
All
person
right.
that really is supposed to be your person, but you let your desires kind of, mm, I'll say, drive you somewhere else that you don't need to drive, right? So that's really important. That's one thing about desires. I think desires really get us into a lot of trouble in relationships. Does that make sense?
Right.
Any
Most
questions about
definitely.
desires?
Desires, nah, that really makes sense for the most part because you could desire something from somebody that can't produce what you desire from them. So then you desiring something that that person can't give to you. So that's a big thing. It's like, are you desiring the right thing from the right person? That's what I'm asking. And also, how do you feel about there is no perfect soulmate. There is never going to be a person that's just like Prince Charming or the love of your life. But I also feel like with love and everything like that, it's a very tricky subject for real. It's a very tricky subject. And I want to talk about the 80-20 rule. Like you got 80%, but then 20% you don't like. You get what I'm saying? Have you ever heard of that before? The 80-20?
I have heard of it.
Like she has
I have heard of it.
everything,
I think for
looks
me,
how you want her to look, but then it's going you're never going to get 100% of what you want ever. That's
I
how I
think
feel
that's
about
really an
desires.
aspect of
For all
minding
you people that are
attachment, to
desiring
be
out there,
honest. Absolutely. I
say it
think
again.
that really it comes back to self, to be honest. If you're whole with yourself and you approach people, whoever you choose to be with, as this is an experience, because we're all here to experience life and to grow and learn lessons. That's really what it is. When it, in the grand scheme of things, that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Having children, having successful careers, wealth, material things, those are things that kind of come with this plane that we're on right now. You know what I mean? That's really more like
Mm-hmm.
more of the worldly stuff. But on a grand scheme of things, that's not really what it is. You're really supposed to experience things for how they are and learn lessons and grow as a spiritual being. That's really what you're supposed to be here. So whenever you focus on things like, oh well, her ass ain't as fat as I like them to be, or she don't cook this way or that way,
Exactly.
he
That's the
don't look
stuff
this
that people.
way.
That's what I'm
Your
saying.
attachments are
Like
wrong. Your expectations are wrong because
exactly.
if you think that's what makes you happy,
That's what I'm saying.
then there's something that you need to figure out with yourself.
Exactly. Exactly. Because
And then
like
we and then
the strippers
we
or the
blame the other
video vixens and all
person.
that, like the video vixens, these Instagram influencers and everything, like they look good. I'm not going front, but at the end of the day, do they reach or have the substance more than just those physical desires? Do they are they wholesome? Are they because like with these women these days, I know they got like a million people in their inboxes, whole bunch of get money niggas in their inboxes. So it's like really you got to choose your battles for real. Like you go get ran through the mud by one of these women that's just trying to take you for all your money and stuff like that. So what you desire, they just want something monetary from you. They don't care about you. They just look at you as a ticket. So it's like
And
what
we
you
also need to
desire ain't
address the fact
always
that
what's
what
best for you.
right and expect too expectations. If you attach expectations to people, anytime you get upset or you feel hurt, I'm gonna tell you why. It's simple. You place expectations and desires on them that you shouldn't have, and it really isn't. It's probably not even them. It's more on your part. A, you didn't properly communicate your boundaries, set boundaries correctly if they're hurting you, and you probably place desires on them that you probably shouldn't have, or expectations, because we're all humans.
For sure.
You're in charge of your experience. You're in charge of this avatar that you've been placed in. This is your journey, your life, right? So people who
Exactly.
come together and they cross paths, they're equal. So I can do whatever I want to do. You can do whatever you want to do. When you try to control and place these parameters on like expectations and you have to do this, you have to do that, you're gonna lose.
For
You
sure.
have to learn how
Yeah,
to
you gotta let them
you have
fly the
to
way they
learn
want to
how to look at
fly.
love in a different way. Absolutely. Love is
For sure.
limitless. We are all limitless, right? There's a quote that I love that says, if you love a flower, don't pick it. You gotta admire the flower, right? And that's what
Yeah,
love is
because
really like.
to me, to me, that controlling stuff is a red flag. Whenever somebody trying to stop you from seeing people or trying to stop you from kicking it with your homies or kicking it with your family, anything like that, that's a red flag to me. Anybody trying to hold you back from what you got going on or trying to make you a different person to build you to their desires or their expectations of you, that's not the person for you. That's a red flag right there. I want everybody to keep their head out on the swivel for them type of behaviors because the person that's for you is ultimately just going to be for you, and they're not going to try to change who you are or say, "Oh, you smoke weed or da da da." Like, but I was smoking weed when you met me. Like, I ain't about to stop smoking weed. Like, what you talking about? Like, when you thought I was going to
Right.
be whatever. I mean, growth happens over time, but it's just different levels of growth. Like I said, like you can't put an
Absolutely.
age limit on stuff like that. Like is Snoop Dogg 60 years old? He's still smoking. I mean, it's just it's just
Right.
different levels. But if somebody was already like that, you knew what they was before you got with them. So that's what I don't be understanding. Where your desires change for that person or whatever that was changing. I think you hit it on the money right there by talking about desires and you know what I'm saying. You ultimately have
I
already
agree.
dealt with this or it's already something that you know what I'm saying.
Right. And it's really important that
That should
you
already be
establish
clear.
boundaries and what are deal breakers and communicate those things when you enter a relationship. And then revisit that conversation as time goes
Exactly.
on.
Exactly.
Because you have the right to hop off this ride anytime you feel free. If yesterday I was cool with you smoking and tomorrow I'm not, that's not for me to bring to you. That's something that I made up in my mind. So if I don't like it, I can leave. You know what I mean? Instead of sitting here complaining to you about it because it's my problem.
Exactly.
So you have the
Exactly.
control of yourself and what you put up with and what you don't put up with. And that's really what it is.
And I'm just using that as an example, you know what I'm saying? For
Yeah,
anybody else, if you doing something like that's getting in the way of y'all's relationship, I'm just using smoking weed as an example. It could be video games for somebody else. Somebody playing video games and your girl don't like it,
right,
but you was playing video games before you met her. Or it could be going bowling with your friends or going to play cards,
right,
whatever. I'm just saying smoking weed just because that's something that's easy to, you know what I'm saying,
right.
identify with for me.
Um, Absolutely. So I want to address something about attachments and boundaries. You're not going to honor these things or mind these things if you haven't done the work with yourself. If you haven't worked on your traumas, if you haven't grown, if you haven't learned how to honor your own boundaries, if you can't go out without, if you can't go out to the club and stick to your 2 beer limit, then you probably shouldn't. If you can't do something like that, then you probably shouldn't go in and get in a whole full blown relationship. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
really,
You're not ready.
you got to master yourself before you master anything. So every day you get up, you have routines that you're practicing, you have habits that you're practicing. Hopefully you have good habits that you have established. You're practicing your boundaries for yourself. Yeah, you're practicing honoring boundaries and honoring other people's boundaries. You're practicing loving yourself. So if someone says something to you, you're practicing holding on to your self esteem, holding on to your self worth when someone says something to you so that it doesn't affect you. If you don't have these things established, you're going to be hurt when you try to get in a relationship. And it's not fair to the person you're getting into a relationship with. It's not
Most
fair.
definitely.
It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to them because you're just riding. It's like a dog. It's like me walking like the biggest dog ever, and that dog will walk me all across the way. It's just like a leash, just flying you all over the way. It's like a ball and chain. You're just gonna be flying around
Exactly. You
because
ain't gonna have no
you
control
haven't
over it.
set anything
Most definitely.
right. No rules of engagement has been set, and you're not gonna be a good partner. You're just not. You're not a good partner to yourself, and you're not gonna be
In
a good partner
order,
to your partner.
ultimately, in order to love somebody, you gotta love yourself first. And you can't love nobody else until
Absolutely.
you love yourself first. Treat yourself with that respect and these boundaries, and make sure your attachments you ain't attaching to the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? I really do appreciate you coming out here onto my platform today. Is there anything that you want to do, you know what I'm saying, before we get out of here? Anything that you really want to let the people know, anything?
I just want to really leave with this, really quick. Boundaries, you have to set your boundaries, but the most important part about boundaries is honoring boundaries. When you don't have boundaries, you invite disrespect. So that's, if you don't leave with anything else, I want you to leave with that.
Most definitely.
And also that desires are internal and external. You should only have internal desires. You should never put your desires on anybody else. If I want to throw a party and I desire for all my friends to be there and help me, then I'm messing up right there. If I want a party, I need to throw a party and invite my friends. And if they don't come, I need to decide that I'm gonna have a good time regardless because I wanted the party. My friends not showing up to my party has nothing to
Right,
do with me. So I'm excited. Visit
right.
me at
I still have to have fun.
thefullembrace.com. Right, absolutely. You want to learn to work on yourself? Come see me. Come see me. Come see me. I'm dropping
Where can
a
people get in,
Christmas
where
sale.
can people get in contact with you?
Thefullembrace.com. So
I said, okay.
TheFullembrace.com. Also, I just started a
Okay. I
grief
really, really do
support.
appreciate you.
Sure, I just want to say I have started a grief group today. So if you are grieving anything, grieving relationships, a loss of a loved one, anything like that, feel free to join. And thank you for having me. I love
Most
you.
definitely, most definitely. I'll be definitely probably hopping in that shortly. I definitely need grief counseling. Been going through a lot lately. I do more than appreciate you blessing my platform today, our platform. I know my followers out there appreciate you as well. Last time you was on the finale last year, so you on the finale this year. So I mean, hey, you know what I
Yay!
mean? Full circle right now. Hope to have you on next season as
Absolutely.
well.
Thank
And
you.
you just keep growing as a person, growing as an individual. I'm really proud of you. You being a life coach and just helping people with being a great influencer, just to a positive lifestyle, man. That's what we need more in the world. And I just really want to give you flowers while you're here and tell you I appreciate you.
Thanks, honey. Same to you. I think it's beautiful to be able to witness each other's growth, and it's been very awesome to experience with you. So absolutely. Thank you.
Most definitely, Britt. Well, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna lock in. I'll be locking in with you shortly. Let me say bye to the followers and everything, and we're gonna head out. And
All
I'll
right.
be in contact with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you a lot. All right.
Thanks.
Mhm. Well, y'all heard it here first, folks. Life coach, Coach B, Britany Lynn. I really do appreciate you again. We're talking about attachments and boundaries as far as relationships go. Ultimately, you can't expect anybody to make you happy before you can make yourself happy. And that's what I got from this for the most part. Um, like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. And this video will be posted on YouTube soon. Again, I'm your host, Blue Strip with Dr. Phil of the Street, Steve Harvey of the Hood. And thank you. We out.